Sometime in the middle of March, your parents tell you to go change your clock to an hour later. You walk off to get your alarm clock, confused. Why do you have to change your clocks to a later hour? Well, that's because of daylight saving time. Daylight saving time is the act of putting our clocks an hour later from what we call standard time. It occurs in the United States every second Sunday in March, and then is turned back to standard time on the first Sunday of November. This year, it is on March 14th. People have many opinions about this act, about whether it is necessary or not. Daylight saving time has an interesting beginning, a reason for why we have it, and has some hidden facts about it you may have never known about. To begin with, daylight saving time was proposed by several people, such as Benjamin Franklin in 1784. The idea was then brought back up in 1907 when William Willett came up with the thought on an early morning. He was riding his horse, and even though the sun had risen, he saw that no one was awake. Willett felt as people were wasting their prolonged daylight and began a campaign to save daylight. William Willett attempted to influence U.S. Congress, businessmen, and people part of Parliament to push clocks 20 minutes later for the Sundays of April. However, society was against it. World War I began. People started to have different perspectives on this idea. This was because they felt they needed to spare fuel to help warm homes. Then, during the war, countries such as Germany, the United States, and the United Kingdom, and Australia began to daylight save. In 1918, Congress passed a law for people to change their clocks to 1 hour later. Though, in 1920, this was discontinued because of people who were continuing to object against the idea. The idea came up once again for the same reasons during 1941, which was World War II. After the war, daylight saving time then popped up here and there around the states. Currently, nearly all of the United States follows the daylight saving times idea. Additionally, the dates of daylight saving time jump from one to another. In 1966, the Uniform Time Act molded a basic beginning and end to daylight saving time. Later, in 1986, it was moved to a different date. Finally, in 2005, the dates were moved to where they are now. In conclusion, this is how daylight saving time was founded. Daylight saving time is a strange concept, so what is the reason for it? Well, as mentioned before, daylight saving time occurs because it conserves energy. To explain, if there are more hours of daylight, it lowers the time that we have to use light bulbs. To conclude, we turn our clocks to 1 hour ahead to save energy. Now, here are a few intriguing pieces of information about daylight saving time. Hopefully, you'll learn something you haven't known before. First, Hawaii, American Samoa, and pretty much all of Arizona do not do daylight saving time. To add on, sometimes when daylight saving time begins, it is called spring forward because you are changing the time to 1 hour ahead in the spring. Then, after daylight saving time ends, it is called fall back because you're changing the time backwards to standard time in the fall. Finally, the U.S. does daylight saving time for 34 weeks of the year, whereas in Russia and Iceland are in a year-round cycle. All in all, these are some fun facts about this act. In conclusion, daylight saving time has an intriguing beginning and is when we move our clocks to 1 hour later from standard time to save energy.
Hello, and welcome to the Brookvale Media Project. I'm Kritika, and today we're going to be talking about Dr. Seuss and Read Across America Day. Read Across America Day is a holiday that takes place every year on March 2nd. This was first thought of by a group called the National Education Association, or NEA. The NEA first brought up the idea in 1997, and their goal was to get kids excited to read. Many people liked the idea, so it was made an official holiday in America on 1998. They decided to hold the holiday on March 2nd, which is Dr. Seuss's birthday. Dr. Seuss was a talented author who wrote many popular children's books like The Lorax, Green Eggs and Ham, and Cat in the Hat. Most schools and children across America celebrate this holiday. Teachers and librarians take this day to focus on the joys of reading. To celebrate this holiday, schools and libraries across America do all sorts of things. For example, libraries have book reading contests and book fairs. Schools let kids have silent reading times or read alouds, and some teachers even celebrate Dr. Seuss's birthday with cake and drinks. Many schools also like to dress up like the Cat in the Hat or their favorite book characters. Schools also like to participate in fun crafts like bookmark making. You can do many fun things on Read Across America Day, but this all started with Theodore Seuss Geisel, better known as Dr. Seuss, a famous cartoonist and author. Dr. Seuss was born in Springfield, Massachusetts in 1904. His father, Theodore Robert Geisel, was the head of his brewery, and his mother was Henrietta Seuss Geisel. At the age of 18, Dr. Seuss attended Dartmouth College, becoming the editor-in-chief of its humor magazine. He later got fired, but contributed through his pen name, Seuss. After graduating from Dartmouth, he went to study at Oxford University with plans to eventually become a professor, but dropped out of Oxford in 1924. Later, Dr. Seuss became a full-time cartoonist and illustrated articles. He eventually landed a position in New York weekly newspapers, then at Standard Oil, where he worked for 15 years. While working at Standard Oil, he made advertisements for Flip, a popular insecticide. And because of this, Dr. Seuss became nationally famous. Around this time, Viking Press offered Dr. Seuss a chance to illustrate a children's book called Boners. The book did very poorly, but this gave him a break into children's literature. Seuss started writing books like How the Grinch Stole Christmas and Hop on Pop. His books became extremely popular and he rose to fame. Read Across America Day is an influential holiday that teaches kids the joys of reading. Dr. Seuss is an amazing author who created many books that all people love. I hope you enjoyed this video from the Brookvale Media Project. Thank you for watching. Bye!
Hello and welcome to the Brookvale Media Project. My name is Kritika.
And my name is Dewani. Today we will talk about Earth Day. Earth Day is a holiday about the planet.
Earth Day marks the day that people wanted to save the planet. It takes place on April 22nd each year and was first celebrated in 1970. Earth was getting polluted from factories and gases came out that can harm people and the environment. Air pollution causes global warming. People started to raise awareness for the environment and public health.
Then there was someone named Senator Gaylord Nelson who was worried about this, and in 1969 he and a few others saw oil spills in Santa Barbara in California. Senator Nelson had to work hard because there was no EPA, Clean Water Act, or Clean Air Act. After that, Nelson wanted to combine student war anti-protest with awarenesses of pollution.
So then, on April 22nd, the young activists spoke out and it spread all over the world. 10% of the American population protested. On the first Earth Day in 1970, 22 million Americans celebrated clean air, fresh water, and non-polluted lands.
Some activities for Earth Day are unplugging your electronics, learning about the environment, and doing some projects about the holiday. You can also go out and just pick up trash and pollution you find in streets, parks, or lakes if you want to. The best and most effective thing to do is to ride your bike, walk, skateboard, roller skate, etc. Try to keep your pollution to a minimum.
Natural disasters are happening. Many countries and regions are currently in a drought. All this is happening because of global warming. It is supposed to rain a lot during the winters in California, but it barely rained this year. Hotter winds have more energy than colder winds. Hotter winds mean hotter water. Hotter water above the equator pushes storms down, and colder water under the equator pushes them up. The change wasn't usually big, but now the change has become huge due to CO2 buildup in the atmosphere.
This holiday might not give you a break from school, but it helps us remember that we have one planet and one chance. Let us not blow it up. And never forget, every day is Earth Day.
Welcome to the Brookvale Media Project. Today we'll be talking about cyber safety. Well, why is cyber safety so important anyway? For one, it's crucial to our mental well-being. Researchers and scientists have shown that if you aren't safe online, you could be exposed to stuff that causes extra stress and anxiety. And if we aren't safe online, our computers, our accounts, or even ourselves could be seriously harmed. And a lot of our private data is stored in our computer so that the computer can give us a better experience. But if we aren't cyber safe, then hackers can take that private data and pretend that they're us. Here are some things you can do that'll help you be cyber safe. First of all, you shouldn't share your password or email with anybody you don't know unless a parent or authority figure tells you to. You also shouldn't talk with strangers on the internet. If you aren't sure if it's a stranger or a friend, you can simply say, "Hi, do I know you?" If you see something that bothers you on the internet, tell a parent or somebody you trust immediately. And you shouldn't click on ads or websites that look suspicious to you. A lot of ads might say really cool stuff like, "Hey, get a free phone here," when actually it's a virus trying to get in your computer. Another thing you should do is that unless a teacher, parent, or other authority figure tell you to download something, don't download online pictures, applications, or anything else. Another thing you shouldn't do is give personal information to anybody online. And a lot of games ask you to put a name. You don't put your real name in. You can put any other fake name in.